the promo with Ricky Starks, right? A lot of online. What's up, everyone? Shaq here, and you know who this is. He is one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions, defending those titles at Forbidden Door this Sunday. His live celebration once had 11-year-old me giving a dissertation on why wrestling shouldn't be banned at home. Adam Copeland, how's it going, my man?
You're welcome, I think. No, I'm doing good, man. Doing good. You?
I'm doing great. Happy to do this. Happy belated Father's Day to you.
Thank you.
And to all fathers out there, but especially a happy belated Father's Day to Christian Cage. Is that like this man's Christmas at this point?
Yeah, I think, or the opposite. Like, I'm not sure if he hates Father's Day because he doesn't seem to really like anyone. So I'm assuming that would translate to his children too.
You know, he's prickly, but deep down, you know,
He's prickly.
we all love Christian Cage.
Yeah.
I have so much. The only other time you and I ever did an interview, Adam, and I wouldn't expect you to remember in this setting, was over the phone right when you made your AEW debut. I think you were in a coffee shop at the time. And so
sounds about right.
I'm happy to revisit. There we go. I'm happy to revisit some of that conversation and how things have gone in that time since. But first, I always put out a Reddit Q&A. I like to get some fan involvement here. And by far, the number one question: when are you going to give the people what they want and bring Sexton Hardcastle to AEW?
Sexton Hardcastle. Sadly, I think unless I show up on an indie with a lucha mask on, Sexton Hardcastle is probably sailed off into the sunset in a pink Cadillac with heart-shaped seats. Probably some adult film stars, and Sexton's having fun.
Oh, he can live on in their dreams. It's been really fun watching this AEW experience as a consumer. I am curious, you know, the Christian Cage we see on television week to week is an entirely different one than we had seen in other promotions and past iterations. What has the process of discovering who Adam Copeland, the AEW talent, been like for you?
I think more than anything, it's just not really trying to recreate the wheel, because I tried that once with Judgment Day, and I could just feel that the audience didn't want to see that. They didn't want to get with that. And I mean, I really changed everything on purpose, thinking let's take away all the stuff that the audience relates to. Take it away from them. Hopefully they'll hate this. And I think we were getting there, but it was going to be pulling teeth, and it was going to be swimming upstream and all of those things. And I think a lot of that is just because the real story of getting this back, and kind of the surgeries and the work put in to get this thing back, I think makes it hard to not at least appreciate. Or at least you go, if nothing else, this guy loves the wrestling industry. So I don't know. It might be fun to try and pull off, a heel character again. But I think the dynamic that we've had with Christian retaining everything of his character and then having my character to bounce off of. So now we're kind of more like, Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon and Grumpy Old Men, where or I always say Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets. And it's actually closer to our actual relationship. And I think that's why a lot of it really works. Sting came up to us last week. He goes, guys, man, this is so much fun. And I think because we're having fun, I think the audience can just sense that stuff and sense that there's legit chemistry. These guys have known each other, been best friends for over 40 years now. Been through so many matches together and so many different things together that I think, but this is a different version. And I think that's been important. We've kind of flipped the tag team character dynamic on its head. And we're both proud of that because it makes it different than what it was before. Because if we go out there and just start calling people dork chops and reeking of hainosity, and it's like, okay, we did that. We can tease a 5-second pose, but we can still dip into that stuff, but this is a new version. It's not ENC, it's CNC.
I like that you're out here um, revealing Christian Cage to be this grumpy SOB all these
Yeah.
years.
Well, it
He's
was
been fooling everyone.
we had a promo, and I think it was in Glasgow, and I said he's an asshole, but he's my asshole. He's our asshole. He's the community asshole. And I think that really kind of cleared up for everyone what it was going to be, and that he wasn't going to lose that.
What is sort of, I love that this tag team title reign comes like basically a quarter century to the day of your last tag team title reign. What is sort of the primary motivation for you now working cohesively? Like what do you want to accomplish with Christian in this avenue?
I think more than anything is just hey, let's give this a try again, and have some fun. Really, I think more than anything, it's just a chance to revisit something that really worked well, and why not try and revisit that again while we still can, because that window's closing. And I think it's just been fun to discover new things with this, because even during promos or pre-tapes and everything, the other doesn't really know what the other's going to do, and I think that keeps us on our toes. And again, we have a natural chemistry from being friends for the entirety of our lives. You can't fabricate that. You can't fake that. I know where he's going to be. He knows where I'm going to be. I know with one little movement what he's about to do, vice versa. I think in our first match, we hit a pop-up spear finisher. We'd never done it before. We just said, let's give it a try as the finish of our match. First time teaming again. And I think it was like 15 years. And we're just going to try a new finishing move because we never had a finishing move before. we were heels, so we always cheated to win. So we're like, I guess we're going to come up with a team move.
Whoa, is this your first tag team face run ever?
No, the Brood.
Yeah,
the Brood. And yeah, so right in the very kind of beginning, or the tail end of the Brood, I guess. And then we split off on our own. We turned heel, and there was no turning back after that.
When you were doing your first sort of media rounds after the AEW debut, you had some idea in mind for your timeline. You had said about 2 years. I know sort of a retirement at Maple Leaf Gardens, where it all sort of started for you, was something you had envisioned. And between all the movies and the injuries, I know that timeline is now a little more ambiguous. I am curious, has your outlook on what retirement looks like, when it looks like, changed relative to your expectations when you first got here?
What it looks like now. What it looks like has always been the same. I'm going to go to the lake. I'm going to sail my boat, drag the kids behind me on the little, floating couch, and sit in the mountains. And do occasional acting gigs. That's pretty much going to be the extent of it, and just be dad and be husband. In terms of the timeline, yeah, that's shifted and had to change. I broke my leg, that put me out for a bit, and it's filming Beekeeper, filming Percy Jackson, so just stuff. But the amazing part here is that Tony and I sit down and we map a way to try and pull it all off. And he's understanding of that too, which is really nice, to be able to kind of try and juggle two careers, because I never did this before. When I started acting, I retired from wrestling, so I've never tried to kind of balance the two, and it can be difficult at times. But thankfully, I have a boss who wants me to do it still, and that's huge. That's huge. It's massive. So in terms of timeline, I don't know, but I know all of those. About 95% of the matches that I want to have are still out there to have, which is pretty cool. FTR was on there. The Young Bucks are on there. There's a bunch of teams on there. And then there's all the solo matches that I haven't got to dip into yet, between Swerve and Osprey and Fletcher. And Joe, Hangman. There's so much to work with, and have fun.
As MJF, in a lucid moment of warmth, called it an embarrassment of riches at AEW, as far as talent is concerned.
Yes.
You mentioned Judgment Day near the top. Back to these sort of fan Q&As. There's a lot of interest around Rhea Ripley. I mean, she has grown into one of the most popular stars in this industry, inside and outside of the ring. Like, there's such a big following of people who don't even know what professional wrestling really is. How has she grown as a performer and in popularity relative to your expectations when she first linked up with you in Judgment Day?
Well, that was part of the reason. Vince said, I want you to start a group and I want it to be like the Brood. And I went, okay, okay. So I'm thinking three people. And he said, who would that be? I was like, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. No hesitation. Those are the two people that could make this pretty cool group, I think. He was kind of surprised by that. And that made me realize he didn't understand what he had in those two. Mm. And I thought that was a shame. So I truly thought, hey, this can be a vehicle. So hopefully they just start getting more reps and some more experience. And I think that's essentially what it did. And then I got to feud them for a year. So I got to be their baby face along with Ray. And when you got two baby faces like us, chances are your heel group is going to do okay. And it's still going, I think. So, it worked. But I'm proud of them. I'm super proud of them. I'm proud of Rhea. I'm proud of like where she's taken it and gone with it. And it's exactly where I thought it could go.
I get the sense between AEW, your acting career, your time with the family. Unlike me, thankfully, you are not chronically online. I wish I could, but hey, that's the job I signed up for.
The gig, right?
There is this sort of persisting narrative, and if you'd like, I'd love to give you the chance to shed some light on it, which is the promo with Ricky Starks, right? A lot of online chatter of, oh, they went off script, oh, there's bad blood. I've literally seen reports claiming that that is not the case, but I did want to sort of present it to you.
We got out there. He started, cutting a promo on me. I was like, well, I'm not in an angle with him. Okay. And that was it. It's just like 1,000 promos in the Attitude Era, by the next day, it's like, okay, now what do we got? Like, I don't. I'm sure Ricky doesn't. I don't care.
Beautiful. Now, one thing that I think everyone should care about is a match of 2006, Cyber Sunday, rated RKO versus Degeneration X. What's going through your mind as HBK chops you in the bare ass?
I don't remember.
You don't.
I know we worked them, but
so he hits you with a sunset flip and pulls your pants like halfway off. No memory of this?
Okay. Well, we did it like every night on house shows for about 2 years.
So this was intentional for one.
This is nothing new. A lot of people have seen my bare ass.
I shouldn't be surprised that you'd be so comfortable to share that with them.
All in the name of entertainment?
Truly. Oh, different times.
I don't think that's entertaining. So yeah, I did, like, there's stuff. I don't remember what we did. We were DX and maybe Bischoff was the ref.
I don't know. I'm going to take your word for it.
So
someone will correct us. Fair enough. Any stories? These always come up when I interview talent who have held this distinction, but any like funny stories about having to walk around with that Money in the Bank briefcase?
Well, I was the guinea pig.
Yes.
So I carried that thing around for 9 months and they wanted me to carry it everywhere. And I'm like, okay, this is a rip. Got it. I'm going to try and use this thing then. So I just started putting legitimately my stuff in this Halliburton briefcase. So it became my carry-on. And I put my chargers, I put my computer, I put, all my stuff in there and just use it. And then I'd just keep it in there when I'd go wrestle. I never took my stuff out. So you'd hear stuff clanging around when I'm hitting Sean in the head and hitting Kane in the head with this thing. You'd hear my laptop going boom, 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 because just whatever.
You guys better carry your laptop, man.
Yeah. And I still have the briefcase and it's dented to hell. Beautiful. Like, and I can tell you, like, the corner dent in it is from Sean's head. And then the main dent is from Kane's head. Like, those things I remember. because I remember with Sean, he gave me a sunset and it was in the Gold Rush tournament. And I grabbed it and I brought it down on his head. Only my hands were very sweaty. So it flew out of my hands and cranked him in the head. The corner, too. Yeah.
I mean,
good times.
Future Hall of Famers to have a physical memory of with your briefcase. Edge, as we wrap up here, you are certainly on the Mount Rushmore of spears. What I have for you here is little King of the Hill, winner stays on situation. I'm going to give you 2 pro wrestlers who use the spear. I'd like for you to just give me, I don't know, who's you prefer, who stands out more to you, and we'll see who survives the gauntlet, if you're ready for it. Okay. Jey Uso, Christian Cage.
Christian Cage.
Why?
No offense, Jay.
Okay.
He's my partner, man. I mean, come on, it's an obvious answer. I mean, why?
Christian. Okay. Well, yeah, but would he be so kind to you, Chris?
Probably not.
Christian Cage, Moose.
I've never seen Mooses.
Okay.
So Christian Cage.
Christian Cage, Bobby Lashley.
Christian Cage.
Christian Cage, Rhino.
Oh man, why you gotta?
And don't give me none of this. It's technically a gore. You know what I mean?
It's technically a gore. Son of a bitch. They were both my partners. I'm gonna say tie, and we got to start over with new spears.
Okay. Goldberg, Braun Breaker.
Whoa. Braun's is awesome because he flies from like halfway down the aisle. But I'm gonna go. To me, Goldberg is the answer to all of it because he's the guy who put it on the map. He's the guy who did it first. He's the guy who garnered that first reaction. Like I remember I was working Gangrel and he goes, "Hey, why don't you hit me with a spear like that Goldberg does?" I was like, "Okay." And that was it. That was the beginning of it. And it got a reaction. So I thought, okay, well, I'll use it here and there. And then little by little, it just became the thing. But it's Bill, I mean, the guy who did it first. And yeah, Bill.
I love it. Okay, well, I think I know where this is headed then, but we will wrap this up. Goldberg, Roman Reigns.
It's Bill. I mean, it's Bill.
Okay, well, for humility's sake, I will put you to the test here. Bill Goldberg, Adam Copeland.
Let's Bill. To me, the originator, just like
Beautiful.
I'm Mr. Money in the Bank, because the first one's always the best. It just is. And I know Rollins had a really cool cash in, and I know Ziggler did, but it don't happen unless we do it first. And I don't do the spear, and Reigns don't do the spear, and Rhino doesn't do it, and the rest of us don't do it, probably, unless Bill does it and gets that reaction. So.
From one legend to another, I respect it. Adam, ahead of your tag team title defense this Sunday at Forbidden Door, if there's anything you would like to leave the people with, the floor is yours, my friend.
I'm excited. The matches like this are one of the major reasons that I wanted to come to this company, is to get in there with young talent who I've never been in there with before. I've known David Finlay for a long time, since he was a kid, and have spent, a lot of road time with his dad. So this is it's an interesting one, and I'm looking forward to it a lot. Also because I see a little bit of us in them, I feel like Clark Connor is definitely I see a little bit of me in there for sure, which means there you could see certain people in me too. It's just a natural inclination to look at somebody and go, oh, okay, right. There's a whole lot of Sean in my shtick. There's a whole lot of Bret Hart in my shtick. There, you take from the things that you enjoy watching, right? But yeah, I'm looking forward to wrestling those guys. I think it's gonna be a fun one.